Matt Ishbia at the recent press conference said changes would be coming, and this confirms it, as he has made multiple moves so far with this Phoenix Suns team, and one that will be alluding ever more clearly, revolving around player in Vasily Micic, as Micic once again has had interest from the European squad, and we're going to be breaking down what the future holds with him and the Phoenix Suns in this episode on Suns Digest. I am Bruce Veliz. And thank you guys so much for tuning into the channel. You guys have been absolutely fantastic listening here and showing your support on this channel over these last couple months with the Suns not being in the greatest spot. So I really do appreciate it. Was busy this weekend, but I'm back on the grind this week to get you guys all the Suns content revolving around this team. So without further ado, let's dive in and let's get into the video at hand today. So make sure to grab that snack. And ladies and gentlemen, finally, it is happening for this squad as we saw the Phoenix Suns make a trade at the trade deadline, and that trade was acquiring Cody Martin and Vasily Micic for Jusuf Nurkic. Now, regarding how you felt about Jusuf Nurkic, if you liked him, if you didn't like him, you just wanted to potentially see some new faces as Jusuf Nurkic was not playing. And unfortunately for the Phoenix Suns, in return, they got another player who did not play for this team in that trade, and that player was Vasily Micic, as Vasily Micic did not play, barely played for this Phoenix Suns team. Well, we have a report talking about Vasily Micic, and it comes from Owen O'Connor, NBA, as he works for the Charlotte Hornets Sports Illustrated and also works for the lead on the Boston Celtics. And he said that reported last night, former Charlotte Hornet Vasily Micic and Phoenix Sun is signing a $5 million deal with Hapoel Tel Aviv BC. Now, this was rumored and reported in the past, but it is going to happen. He hired a new agent in Europe that helped negotiate this deal, and he is going to be leaving the NBA after only spending 2 seasons. And in those 2 seasons, he spent them on 3 teams. He played on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Then after the Oklahoma City Thunder, he got traded to the Charlotte Hornets last season at the deadline. And then this trade deadline, he got traded to the Phoenix Suns. And for all the Suns fans that want to know the news, this means that he will be waived from the team option that he is currently on with this Suns team. And the reason why I know this, well, there are only a couple options for Vasily Micic for this Phoenix Suns team. And for that reasons, with the team option exercise, we'll be looking at them. If an NBA team exercises its team option, the contract extends for another year, meaning the player will be obligated to play for that team. If the player signs an overseas contract and the team exercises the option, the player's overseas contract becomes irrelevant and they are obligated to return to the NBA team. The player might attempt to renegotiate their contract with the NBA team or explore other options like a buyout or to be released. I think the third option will obviously happen. Like I mentioned, Vasily Micic for this Phoenix Suns team barely played. I believe he only suited up in a total of 5 games for this Phoenix Suns team. And if we look at his team option and we look at his contract, we can see for the Phoenix Suns that he makes $7 million this season and he makes $8 million next year. So if the Phoenix Suns, a team who once again is straddled in this second apron, right, wants to lose some salaries and can get into the first apron by waiving contracts in Cody Martin and Vasily Micic, with Micic already accepting and going overseas to go play back in Europe, it would only make sense for the team to once again wipe his contract out, pursue a buyout, or to release him, and ultimately waive his team contract, which I see happening in the future with this Phoenix Suns team, and ultimately sending Vasily Micic back off to Tel Aviv to go play in Euro basketball, something that he has wanted to do and something that the Phoenix Suns fans have also wanted him to do so that they could pursue other players and bring people that actually want to play in Phoenix. Now, ultimately, this is not a dig at Vasily Micic. This is not me, getting mad at him as he obviously was traded to Phoenix, but I was kind of frustrated that he was never given an opportunity with this team due to the fact that the Suns, even though they had an abundance of guards, still seemed to struggle with those guards and were finding brand new diamonds in the rough every single day at that position, like guard Colin Gillespie, who also deserved to be on a guaranteed contract, so the Suns could have a little bit better flexibility with, extending him and keeping him long-term under this team and on this roster. But unfortunately, the Suns did not do that. They waited towards the end of the season. They didn't do anything with Vasily Micic's contract, and now the Phoenix Suns get some, I guess, flexibility out of all of this because they're eventually going to go up and waive his contract probably alongside Cody Martin's as well, to drop below that first apron. But basically, this Yusuf Nurkic trade was a wash. The Phoenix Suns got off one bad contract and gave up a first round pick to bring back two players that they barely played, didn't help them make the playoffs, and ultimately are going to set this team up to drop below the first apron. But ultimately, the Phoenix Suns could have done that the following season with Yusuf Nurkic's contract when it was on a one-year deal and was obviously more tradable. Now, obviously, hindsight is 2020. If you look back at other videos, you obviously hear me arguing the other side of the fact, saying trade Nurkic, trade Nurkic, trade Nurkic. We need to get something at least, and I still believed in that it was a smart move to do the Yusuf Nurkic trade in the beginning. But the Suns should have went a better way around it, right? They should have not had to do this deal. They should have traded Yusuf Nurkic for Nick Richards and someone else on this team and on this Charlotte Hornets team, right? Maybe a Cody Martin. Not even had to get Vasilij Micic on this team. Could have found out another way to do this deal because, like I mentioned, they traded with the Hornets twice and ended up giving them Nurkic at the end anyway. So it could have been a little bit easier for this Phoenix Suns team. I wish nothing but the best of luck for Vasilij Micic on his next team in Tel Aviv. But for the Phoenix Suns, I think this is a great start once again with these new changes coming. We've already seen Mike Budenholzer been fired before the introductory press conference or the press conference at the end of the season. Matt Ishbia has obviously gone into detail, talking about taking a little bit longer to find a head coach. We have no inkling really what's going on with the front office at this point, so all that remains still up in the air. But as the playoffs still continue, the Suns are still going to look to make moves and look to make changes. And once again, another one has really fallen right in front of them, with Vasilij Micic obviously going to Tel Aviv. So let us know your thoughts down below in the comment section. But that gets us to the next part, what this means for the Suns and what this means for this team heading in its next direction. As like I've kind of alluded to and talked about already, this team needs to drop below into the first apron, right? Being in the second apron is going to make things so hard and so restrictive, specifically when you only have 7 guys on the roster. Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Royce O'Neal, Kevin Durant, Ryan Dunn, Osa Gardaro, Grayson Allen. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. You have 7 players under contract, and you'll most likely bring back Nick Richards on that $5 million contract to see us still as a solid fringe starting center, really good backup big. But the other 2 guys, Cody Martin and Vasilij Micic, you're most likely are going to be waiving, or you are going to be waiving Vasilij Micic, but most likely Cody Martin, because why are you bringing back Vasilij Micic if he wants to go play in Europe and has wanted to for the last couple of months, to drop below into this first apron. This will then allow you as the Phoenix Suns, once again, to have a little bit more flexibility in trading, with being able to aggregate salaries, take back more money than you give out, but also it allows you to have the mid-level exception to sign somebody to around a $10 to $12 million contract to play pretty solid on your team. I think by doing all of these little minor moves around the edges, it will also have the Suns to have a little bit more flexibility to move off of a player in Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, or both if they do decide to do so in this offseason, to fully retool around Devin Booker and this new star-studded squad team. Who knows who's going to ultimately be on this roster at this point, but at this moment, Vasilij Micic's time with the Phoenix Suns is over, as he is going to be going to Tel Aviv, going to be playing over in Eurobasketball, and he is no longer going to be on this Phoenix Suns roster and no longer the NBA. I wish Vasilij the best of luck, even though he didn't have the greatest time in Phoenix, and even though I may have roasted him a little bit for his time. He gave his best effort of being a great supporter and cheering on this Phoenix Suns team in his short tenure here, and you have to respect that of his personality and his character. So thank you so much, Vasilij. Wish you the best of luck. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. With that being said, there obviously will be one roster spot open for the Phoenix Suns for next year. So who would you guys like to see that take that roster spot? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Catch you guys in the next video. Have a great rest of your day, and go Phoenix Suns. Peace out, everyone.